Okay, so for 5.1, what we're going to do is just do some review of different things we've done with quadratic forms. We're not doing any solving, okay, for this first day of review. So that means I don't need to set it equal to 0, and I don't need to find what n or what x is. I'm just going to review how to convert it from one form to one of our other forms. There's 3 forms of a quadratic equation. There's standard, there's factored, and there's vertex. Okay, so it says to determine which form each expression is in, then convert it to all other forms. Some may be considered multiple forms. We'll talk about that one when we get to one. Okay, so this first one is in standard form. And it doesn't matter which one I do first, but I need to convert it to all other forms. So I'm going to put it into factored and into vertex. So I'll do factored first. So factored, I'm going to set up my box and my puzzle. Got to find 2 numbers that add to -2 but multiply to -3. Ends up being -3 and 1. Fill in my box. And then I'm going to take out the greatest common factor in each row and column. So in this first row, n squared minus 3n. N is what they have in common. The second row, they don't have anything in common, so we do 1. First row, n. Second row, -3. Remember, if the first one's negative, you have to take out the negative. So my factored form is n minus 3 times n plus 1, and it doesn't matter which order you put the factors in. Okay, now let's go into vertex form. So that one I'm going to use the extra box, put in my n squared. I take my middle number, my b, and I cut it in half to get -1n. Okay, take my GCFs out. This is that number we cut in half. Now to fill in this box, I do -1 times -1. And then for my extra box, that's what do I need to do to 1 to get to -3? I need to subtract 4 from it. So now for my vertex form, okay, I have 2 n minus 1s being multiplied, so that's n minus 1 squared, and then minus my extra box. Okay, so we're going to do it again. This one's in standard form. Okay, I'm going to set up my puzzle. So 0 and 2. So x squared, 0x, 2x, 0. This one has a plus 0 at the end. That's how I know that we were to multiply to 0. Oh no. Let me just fix what my thing erased there. Okay, pull out my GCFs. So x plus 2 times x plus 0 is my factored form. Now there's a much easier way to get to that if you remember to take out a GCF first. You definitely do not need to do the box on this one. In that original form, if you've got x squared plus 2x, if you remember to take out your GCF first, which is x, then I'd be left with x times x plus 2. Notice that, and this is the same thing. Adding 0 doesn't change anything. Okay, so those are both the factored form. Okay, now for vertex form, I'm going to put in my x squared, cut my middle number, which is my 2x in half. x1, 1 times 1 is 1. How do I get from 1 to 0? You subtract 1, so my vertex form is x plus 1 squared minus 1. Okay. All right, so for number 3, this is the first one that we are going to use our hint. Some may be considered multiple forms. Number 3 here is definitely standard form, because there's no parentheses, okay? Now, it's also technically vertex form because I have my n squared and then minus something. Anytime that middle number is 0, then that's considered vertex and standard. I'm going to rewrite this a different way just to help you see the vertex form a little bit better. Minusing 0 doesn't change anything. So notice these two things are the same. And they're both in standard and both in vertex form, okay? So now I just need to go to factored form, okay? So I'm gonna find two numbers that add to 0, my middle term and my middle coefficient, and multiply to negative 36. So that's gonna be 6 and negative 6. So n squared, 6n, negative 6n, negative 36. Take out my GCFs in each row and column. And my factored form is n plus 6 times n minus 6. Okay? All right.